You touched on another aspect, and that was the casinos and Dan Gilbert. I wonder if Dan Gilbert's screwed. The mortgage market is now more closely regulated. He made all of his money on the Quicken Loans thing, and that's all tightened up. That revenue stream is going to tie off. The loss of value from LeBron James leaving, and I feel like these casinos and being invested in casinos are kind of his last hope. I mean, otherwise, you know what I mean? He's got no gate revenue. He's got no main attraction, and he's in a city that's hemorrhaging population, and his main artery of cash, Quicken Loans, is now being choked off with government regulation. I mean, I love Dan Gilbert. I don't want you to get the wrong idea. I love him. I love the reaches that he's made. I love the fact that he was willing to do all of these things to bring a winner. I love what he has done with his marketing team to, this all for one, one for all. I love the letter. I don't love the font, by the way, but I love the letter. And yet the only the only fear that I have now is we might not see much more of this guy if those casinos don't go through, because where's the cash going to come from?
Well, he does start businesses on an almost daily basis.
Bizarre, isn't it?
No, but he's a classic entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
I think he returned to billionaire status on the Forbes list. I think he was down to $800 million and got back up over $1 billion. I don't think that Dan Gilbert's. I don't think the town's in any danger right now of losing him as an owner. But I also felt, as the free agency countdown, with LeBron began on July 1st, 2010. This if you look at the markets where there's an NBA, NFL, and MLB team, Cleveland really is by far the smallest. Mm-hmm. Is there enough capital here to support 3 major league teams? God, the nuclear winter scenario where LeBron would leave and we would lose Dan Gilbert or lose a franchise because the Dolans have run the Indians into the ground. Mm-hmm. The Cleveland slips further and further into darkness.
We're so quick to forget the way that the situation was prior to LeBron, but prior to LeBron, when that team had the Mike Fratello years, yeah, there was discussions about that team leaving. I mean, people were talking about that then, and that was prior to this huge letdown. And like I said, now we're below we're around 300,000, just right around that line. People
smaller than the city has fewer people than it's had in a century.
It has. I found this to be interesting. It has that's very comparable, but it has maybe 30,000 less people than Miami.
It's interesting.
I was very surprised because, LeBron went to this market that was very similar in size, and obviously there's all these other benefits in the players and everything, but I just thought city for city, that was kind of an interesting, I guess, trivia fact. Should we have seen this coming from a mile away, the departure, in the sense that he's growing up, his favorite teams are the Cowboys, the Yankees, and the Bulls, which are all the teams that are peaking and great during his formative years. Yeah. He doesn't go to Bucktail, like you said, which was primarily an inner-city school with a lot of other African-American kids where, he could have helped bring some attention there and brought some revenue to that school. Instead, he goes to a recruiting school, a school that's known to recruit in Akron, St. Vincent, St. Mary. He brings the dollars there. They, of course, whore themselves out to Akron, the Akron Coliseum, whatever you want to call it.
No, the jar.
The jar,
James A. Rhodes
as
Center.
they call it.
Yeah.
And more recently, we can see that he hasn't grown because he was supposed to be part of this barnstorming tour that was going to happen around the globe. What that would have done, I would argue, that would have created a revenue stream for the players to at least handle their insurance and some other things to extend the lockout and leverage the players. And then he backs out at the last second. And again, he leaves people out to dry. It goes to keep proving that this guy just doesn't have loyalty to anybody beyond himself.
There are people who looked at LeBron and people who were making arguments as he represents the new paradigm of players seizing control of their future, and the decision is a bold stroke on behalf of athletes finally taking their destiny. Where is Maverick Carter, his manager, and LeBron? Are they in New York expressing solidarity? They're, as usual in crunch time, LeBron's nowhere to be found.
Yeah, it's despicable. What do you make of? We're an ESPN affiliate, and I'm the first one to criticize us when I think we're wrong. What do you make of ESPN's blending of journalism and entertainment?
It's fun and funny that you asked me that question. Right now, one of the things that we're waiting for, and I want to say this because this is personal now. I would have paid HarperCollins to do this book. This is a book I was born to write. I'm grateful for the appearance today. I'm grateful for any opportunity to talk not just about the book, but about, I think, the Cleveland fan and Cleveland sports. A great untold story. But ESPN, the mothership to this point, is behaving as if no such book has ever been published. It's very interesting right now. And one of the things I think related to the question is the book's kind of hard on ESPN. Mm-hmm. And it's hard.
It levels some criticisms. Yeah.
Oh, my God. I mean, I have enormous respect for what ESPN has become. I'm not sure that there's a more powerful organization in all of sports. But by giving an hour to LeBron James, whatever the business side felt, they really did soil themselves in terms of their credibility. I mean, after all, they're business partners with the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And LeBron and the Heat became, in many ways, the brand. I used to refer to them on Twitter as the ESPN/Miami Heat.
Mm-hmm.
They devoted enormous attention and resources.
The Heat Index.
No, I mean, seriously. So you wind up, your journalists, I mean, they talk about multi-platform and entertainment and sports, but you are driving the coverage of a league that you are business partners with, and your journalists are supposed to be taking a hard, honest, just the facts look at players who are being paid tens of millions of dollars by the companies who advertise on ESPN. It's really a daisy chain. It's not a thing where credible journalism is really the highest priority.
One of the dangerous things about the exchange of information was this idea that one outlet could control television, newspaper, roadside advertising, all these different venues, specifically because you would be able to disseminate information that you would be able to create your own truth, okay?
Yep.
ESPN has these guys that are reporting on athletes and serious issues, because now we've crossed over to where they report on their personal lives and their business entities and all these other things.
That's right.
And meanwhile, right before they do SportsCenter and make these announcements, they're cutting a commercial for SportsCenter and talking to the athlete at the sandwich table, joking around, doing the Three Amigos with the Celtics, and now you're going to come back and you're going to do a story that's hardline against the Celtics. It's not going to happen.
And I think that anyone with that kind of insight has to question ESPN's credibility as a journalistic outfit, and I think that's a painful truth that ESPN is not comfortable dealing with.
I agree 100% with you, and I don't think I'm ever going to be hired by the mothership. I don't know, but I think you hurt your own credibility as a journalist if you can't see that and sort of just attack it on its merit, at least.
And as selfish as this sounds, if ESPN continues to treat the book as if there is no such book, I think that's a story in itself.
Yeah.
I mean, to me,
it's an indictment on their own behavior.
Absolutely.
Sure.
The sensitivity and the defensiveness. Am I going to do any damage to ESPN they haven't already done to themselves 10 times over?
Right.
Absolutely not.
Well, hey, you'll always be here, so don't worry about that.
Thanks, Ryan.
Don't worry about the mothership. You'll always be here. You'll have a seat. It's with us again, Scott Raab, the author of The Whore of Akron, one-man search for the soul of LeBron James. I don't know. He might still be looking for it now, and maybe nobody's found it. I don't have a clue. But we're going to be back with Scott here right after this quick ESPN update. We'll get you some sports on the national level. We'll come back, and we'll wrap up this thing with another 20 good minutes with him, and we'll welcome your phone calls. It's The Angle of Pursuit on ESPN 970 WFUN.